Today we will be talking about how much training is too much, high-calorie breakfasts, and the biggest mistake players make, part 2. Welcome to episode 24 of Run It Straight. Question 1 is anonymous. How much training is too much training? Nice and general. Okay, this is again one of those it depends questions. We get this a lot, don't we? A lot of parents, I think there's too much, or they're going to burn out. How much training is too much training? It depends on a whole range of factors, like the age of the athlete is important, but it's actually nowhere near as important as what you think. It's more about the training age. And the training age is simply how long the particular player / athlete has been exposed to that particular kind of stress, and how quickly you're looking to increase the volume or the intensity of, basically how quickly you're looking to increase that stress. So to give a couple of examples first off, let's say we look at gymnastics. Level 3. Average 8 years old, they are spending about 12 hours per week training. Level 4, 9 to 10 years old, are spending about 15 hours per week training. Once you get to sort of a 12-year-old, they're looking at 20 hours per week of training. Competitive swim squad. So this is from one of the top swim squads in the country. This is 14 to 18-year-olds who are looking to try to get themselves, by the time they're 18, 19, to be able to go to an Olympics. They train 4 mornings per week from 5 a.m. to 7:15 a.m. and then on a Saturday morning from 6 until 8. And they also train 5 days per week in the afternoon from 4 p.m. to 6:30 p.m., which it works out being, we're looking at 28 to 32 hours. They have a few off and on weeks, but it works out to roughly that amount of training per week. So how much training is too much training? Number one, you need to have a experienced coach who can look at the athlete, look at their training age, look at where they're at. Different kids coming in at different ages also have different capacities for workload. You expose them to it and you see how they respond. Some kids can take more, some kids can take less. Everyone can gradually increase that over a period of time. So you need to look at increasing their work capacity. And look, we always say that, if an 8-year-old can do, or a 9-year-old or a 10-year-old can do 15 hours per week, then if you're coming into an academy like ours, or if you're looking to get better as a rugby league player and you're 14 or 15, you should be doing 20, 25, up to 30 hours per week. Now, that doesn't mean that that's all back-breaking labour. There's a lot of different things that come into that. Flexibility training, mobility training, soft tissue work, that comes into that. Absolutely getting in the gym, doing strength training, which, power is a component of that. Strength is a component of that. Building a hypertrophy phase is a component of that. Cardiovascular training needs to be performed. Speed and change of direction, skill work, goal setting, tracking, motivation, all of those things I would consider part of training. Even film work, so watching games or going to games, and instead of watching the game, just watch the singular player. If you want to get better as a fullback, don't go and watch the Roosters. Go and watch James Tedesco and look where he goes. The entire game, just watch him. Where does he go? Who does he talk to? How does he do it? Or if there's a front rower, what do they do? When do they try and catch their rest so that they don't gas out? Do they, off a certain set when the ball's been kicked, do they just walk to where the tackle's going to be on the third tackle so they can get a hit up? Or do they run back and then waste more energy by running to get back there early when they're not actually needed? Those things are all aspects of training. It's not just, drenched in sweat for 30 hours a week. That's not what that means. There's different parts of that. I'll let you go on that front, because we do get a lot of these questions from parents.
We do. And look, the simple answer is anyone that I've come across in our program who the parents may think that they're overtraining, I can say they're definitely not. They're definitely not. So our hours in rugby league don't compare to the hours for someone in gymnastics or swim squad, which it should.
Yeah, there's no reason why it doesn't, but it's not even close.
It's not even close. No, it's not even close. So we're trying to raise those standards, and that's what we're trying to implement and educate all these athletes and parents that they're not doing anywhere near enough training, so we're not even on the topic of overtraining. So is your athlete, is your son or daughter overtraining? The answer is no.
Yeah.
But they do need the proper advice, the proper training schedule,
that's right.
proper nutrition, proper sleep, stretching, massage.
Have they jumped into certain things too quickly?
Yep.
100% that might be happening.
Yep.
Are they resting adequately? We can almost guarantee that's a no. Of everyone who comes
when
in.
you have a look at everyone's phones
Yeah.
who claims that they're overtraining and the amount of sleep they're getting is minimal.
Even something as simple, the energy's low and they're flat, and then we look at the food and they're not eating enough calories. So there's a whole host of things that come into that. But overtraining is something we have rarely, if ever, actually seen. I can probably think of literally like one, probably Zaid. He would be it, right?
Yeah.
He'd be
if there was anyone, it would be him.
He wouldn't mind us mentioning him because he has a ridiculous work ethic. But honestly, yeah, no, we don't see it. And like we said, it doesn't mean that everything has to be killing them. Sometimes, quote unquote, training can be sitting there, put something on TV, you're watching the footy, you're watching NRL 360 or whatever, and you're massaging your calf, you're sitting on the ground stretching, your foam rolling. That's included. Because those things allow you to then do all the other work.
But also from time to time, their schedules might need to change because what they're doing outside of football changes as well. So you may need to change your program up slightly just to adjust to what's happening in your life at the moment. But besides that, no, overtraining, definitely not.
Yep. Hopefully that answers the question. Okay, question number 2. What can I have for breakfast that will get a lot of calories into me? I'm looking for 1,000 calories just at breakfast. So it's actually not as hard to hit that as what you would think. I put this into MyFitnessPal and it came out just over 1,000 calories. So 4 pieces of toast with butter and jam, and a banana smoothie with 300 mils of milk. So a banana, 2 tablespoons of honey in the milk, and that was just over 1,000 calories. So you eat the toast, drink the smoothie. It really doesn't take that long in the morning. It probably takes no more than 6 or 7 minutes to get ready. Boom, there's 1,000 calories. Chris?
I mean, you can go to the extreme and do what someone I know does, a container of yogurt and muesli.
Yeah. Look, it's, there's the old saying of there's so many ways to skin a cat. Not that we want to be all anti-cats or anything here, but the point is, get MyFitnessPal out. Think of what's a breakfast that you like. Just enter the stuff, enter it all in there, and then start putting, okay, not that I would particularly recommend having cereal, but if you want to have cereal, that's fine. Enter in an amount, put some yogurt on it, some grapes, some of those bits and pieces, and just see where the calories come to. It's really not that hard. Eggs, like swimmer, Michael Phelps. He used to have, it was like 2 to 3 bacon and egg sandwiches every morning, and that gave him plenty of protein from the eggs and plenty of calories for him to use training-wise. And it actually sound really good. I really feel like those at the moment. Yeah. But anyway, it's simply sit there, enter it into your phone, stop being lazy and don't try and make us do the work. It's really not that complicated. Use
almost
the app.
anything will get you 1,000 calories.
Almost anything will get you.
It.
You just got to enter it in.
Yep.
That's all it is. Okay, so short and sweet. Question 3, which is because there was actually we thought of so many good responses to this one last time. We're going to do part 2 of it, which are what are the biggest mistakes you see from players when they're trying to improve their game overall. A couple of things I wanted to talk about was thinking of rugby league as only a team sport. Oftentimes, once kids start getting up to that that rep age, and even if and when they make rep teams, and we see this from their parents as well, is I've made it reps, I've made Harold Matts at such and such a club. We don't need to do any league fit stuff now because they're going to take care of it. And then it's like, okay, they go away to that. They come back after they've done their mat season, and we test them, and the kids have gotten fatter, and they've gotten a ton weaker as well. We come in, all of their lifts are down considerably, and quite often we've had parents say, oh yeah, they said that they shouldn't go and train and do any other programs because they do everything that they need to do. But my son, his skill level's definitely improved, absolutely, because they've hammered that and he's gotten fit. But all these other aspects, his mobility has gotten worse, He hasn't been tracking his food because he hasn't been being held accountable. Again, the skin folds, which we take on a regular basis, help with that. That hasn't been getting done. He hasn't been lifting properly. That's a big thing. Is they tell us about the gym programs, which are absolutely horrendous.
Yeah.
Most of the programs are putting them through, and the kids get weaker.
Which again, resources are limited.
Yeah, it's not that it's anything on the clubs until there's more money that's available. But if you've got 30 kids that are in a program and you've got one S&C coach or even two S&C coaches, and then they're stuck in a gym where they've got 2 power racks and 2 benches, and it's like, well, what are you going to do with the kids?
Yeah.
It's you can't do it. Which is why when we're in the gym, our ratio, we never have more than 6 players to 1 coach, and we have enough gear that we have racks, benches for every single kid that's in there.
We've actually increased those numbers to 4 athletes per coach.
Yeah, no, we have.
So
actually.
4 to 1. And everything that we do is individualized. So we're there to sort of raise the bar. So
we hope that in years to come, what we're doing here at League Fit, we're going to see every Howard Mats, SG Ball, even into Fleg, to be honest, because we've got some boys that have gone through those systems. It's not until you're actually getting up into
Cup.
Well, even then, they're training less than Fleg at the moment, a lot of the Cup sides. It's not until you're actually getting into top 30 or as a development player. So there's probably about 45 players that they will look after really well, and they will prioritise, they'll individualise things. So, yeah, you need to think of yourself as more, from that point of view, more of an individual athlete. And this is part of the next point, is a mistake that we see is not having a crew of people around you. And I don't mean what I talked about last week, which is the 5 people you hang around. What we mean by this is the same way that if you look at, let's say you look at Roger Federer or Nadal or Djokovic, they've got their technical coach. They've oftentimes got like a psychologist who works with them. They've got their physical prep guy. They might even have a soft tissue person. They've got a crew of 3 or 4 or 5 people that know them, know their body, know their training load, and work towards making them the best version of themselves that they can possibly be. And if you want to see how far you can go with your footy, you need to start to do that. I would recommend finding and having a massage therapist that you've got access to, that knows you and knows your body, knows the areas where you get tight, where you get locked up, that you can call at short notice and go in and get work done. I would recommend going and getting a physiotherapist, and not just any. Try and find someone who has NRL experience, because those guys are so valuable. During the season, you get an injury on, and we've had people that, they've gotten a shoulder injury and they go to their physio. Oh yeah, my physio says, I can't lift, I can't do anything on it for 3 weeks, and then maybe another 2 or 3 weeks of rehab, and then I'll be back in 5. And we've said, look, that's fine. Would you be willing to go and get a second opinion? Usually mum or dad say no. Then we talk to them about the pedigree of the people that we're sending them to. 10, 15, 20 years experience within NRL squads, and they have an idea what a shoulder is capable of. And we're not just talking about gen pop. We're talking about someone who is dedicated and wants to get back as quick as possible. I had one, this certain redhead I had earlier this year, and I got him to go and see physio we wanted him to see. And I gave him a buzz after. I said, how did you go? And he said, man, that was a completely different experience. His level of knowledge was crazy. And he said, I will miss only 1 week, not 5, and I can get back and play. And that kid's got back. He's played. He's been selected into rep squads based off what they saw him do in those next 4 weeks, wherein if he'd listened to the original physio, he wouldn't even have been on the field. Yeah. So get a crew of people around you that have your best interests at heart, which is the second thing that I didn't go into. It's not that the junior clubs don't want the best for you, but they've got so many names that are on the books, and they're trying to manage that. They are under-resourced, so they'll say, oh, we want this and this, but they don't really care as much, because there's so many other people that are in the line. You get injured, something happens to you, next. Whereas when you've got that crew of people around you that know you personally and care about you and your journey, they are going to go a lot further for you as an individual than what any club will. And we've seen that over and over, people getting screwed over. So
I'll give you a quick backstory on my personal experience.
Yeah.
So I've come off the field. I injured my hand, let's say at the start of the game. It was a trial, so I wasn't going to come off. Played the rest of the game, actually played quite well. More of an adrenaline thing, I think.
Yeah.
And then once you get off the field, that's when the pain happens. My hand was blown up, and the physio came and had a look at it, and he said, okay, does it hurt? I said, yeah. He goes, no, but like, does it really hurt? And I said, well, no, because I didn't want to look weak.
Yeah.
As you do. And then he goes, okay, just put some ice on it. See you later. That was it.
That was fantastic. Yeah.
Turned out I had dislocated my knuckle. It was quite painful, and I couldn't actually catch or tackle properly for the next 4 to 6 weeks. So again, mistake on my half, didn't get a second opinion, just sort of played through the pain, played bad, and got dropped for it.
Yeah, whereas what we would, and with our kids that are in the program, something like that happens, usually we get a message, I injured my hand, I'll call them, what happened, blah, 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 blah. Okay, there's either this person or this person, I want you to call both of them until you get an appointment. Tell them I've sent you, hopefully you'll get in the next day or two. Then they, oh yeah, I've got an appointment tomorrow at 1 p.m. Brilliant, can you give me a call afterwards?
Yeah.
They call it too, I saw he said this, this and this, that's great. We will then call the physio, because sometimes stuff can get lost in translation. The physio will tell us, yep, we're going off to get a scan on this. We think it's this, but we want to make sure it's not this instead. Brilliant. 3-4 days after the injury, we've now got a treatment plan in place. We've got an idea when the person's going to be able to return to play. We can adjust their training. All of that doesn't happen if you just sit there and think someone's going to look after you. You need to be proactive and you need to look after yourself. You need to get a group of people around you who want to look after you.
Yeah. Just to expand on the physios as well, why it's important to see someone with NRL experience. We're not trying to knock or mock any of the physios that deal with general pop, but they will treat you like general pop, not like an athlete. So if you go to someone who has the experience with athletes or NRL experience in particular, then they'll know the limitations of what you can and can't do. So it's not that we're mocking the other physios, they obviously know what they're doing, but they're treating you like a general pop rather than an athlete that can push the limits a little further.
Yep, and we've just seen it time and time again, the different protocols and return to play from the guys who have experience compared to those who don't. Yeah, it's night and day.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, guys, any more questions, please send them through as much detail as possible. We will see you in the next one. Cheers.